Hello guys and welcome back to another class of our course about Python. So in today's class we are gonna ask ourselves why should we learn Python. So we will talk about what is Python, when it was born, how you can use it, and everything around Python. So let's start. So the first question we will ask ourselves today is what is Python? So basically Python is simply a high level programming language. So this language is really designed to be easy and very simple to implement in applications or simply in everyday's life. Well, in everyday's programming life. Also, what's cool about Python is that it's open source. It means that it's free to use. You don't have to pay a fee to be able to use this programming language. And even if you're creating commercial applications or applications that you will sell, it's still free to use. Python can be run on different machines, so it can be run on Windows, on Mac, on Unix, and can also be run on, can also be ported to Java and .NET virtual machines, which is once again a very good thing about Python. Python is a object-oriented language, and it's also considered a scripting language, something like Ruby or Perl, and it can be used for creating many things. It could be from, as I said, it could be games, it could be web applications, it could be simply, I don't know, very simple applications, mobile apps, absolutely, well, anything. um, there is a lot of applications that support Python API. For example, we have GIMP, we can have Inkscape, we can have Blender, Autodesk Maya. And so as you can see, Python is something that is very used in our today's life. And and it's also an amazing thing to learn it as a first programming language. So right now we'll talk about the difference between Python 2 and Python 3, since it's very common to hear those two things, but no one really knows the difference. So basically, Python 2 was born in October 2000. This was the first version of Python, and Python, that's when Python was, started to be used. And it was updated until July 2010. So that's when the last version of Python 2 just got out. It was Python 2.7. Um, and at the meantime, Python 3, well, it was born somewhere around 2008, so it was in December 2008, and until now it's still updated, and right now we are mostly using Python 3. Um, why using Python 3? It's very simple. It will support the modern techniques like AI, machine learning, data science, and many others. It's supported by Python developers community, so it's way easier to get support for Python 3 than for Python 2, since Python 2 is not that used right now. It's really easier to learn Python 3 than to learn Python 2. It can be mixed with other programming languages, so you can use it with Java or C++, and it offers a powerful toolkit and libraries, which is very good for Python users. So why learning Python as a first programming language? Basically, as I explained to you guys before, Python is the most popular language that exists right now. If I'm not mistaken, something around 25 or 26% of people say that they prefer Python to other languages, programming languages, which is very big. And is it a good thing that Python is that popular? Once again, yes, because you have easier support, because the majority of apps will be developed in Python, and this means that if you know how it works, it will be easier for you to create more advanced apps. And if you need support, you can easily find support on the internet. Also, some amazing things that exists on Python. You can have a fast development speed. You have numerous libraries and frameworks that exist. So when we're talking about framework, we have, for example, Django, Flask, Falcon, and others. Those are just the most popular. Python offers a huge performance, so you can create really performant apps. It's really easy to maintain. And finally, it's a very simple, well, it's very scalable, so you can create very advanced applications. But in the end, it's simply really simple to learn. So the language in itself is very simple to learn. The only thing that is a bit more harder is to understand the logic behind it. But once you understand the logic, skies are the limit. You can create anything. So you simply have to understand the logic behind this programming language, and behind the object-oriented programming languages. And after that, well, when you learn Python, you can learn other languages. Is it hard to learn? It depends of people. Honestly, it depends of people. For some people, it will be easier. As I explained, it's not the lines of code that are hard to understand. It's more the logic behind the object-oriented language. But once you understand this, well, writing the right functions after that will be easier. So it's not that hard. But for people who never, let's say, who are not really using computers, who never, let's say, have been on Excel or worked, for example, with Excel and wrote functions on Excel, for example, once again, it's just an example, and don't have no previous programming experiences, it can be more harder. But for people who simply have some previous programming background, or who already touched to Python and have like a small idea of what's a object programming language, it will be a bit more easier. Once again, don't worry, this course is really based to help you learn step by step how it works. So what will you be able to do by knowing how to program in Python? So there are many things that you guys can do when you know how to program with Python. You can, for example, create your own apps. It can be apps, it can be web apps, it can be mobile apps. You can work in data analysis, so you can use Python for data analysis. You can use Python for cybersecurity and ethical hacking. You can use Python for, mostly anything. If you want to automate something, for example, you can use Python to automate it. If you want to create more advanced management apps, you can do it with Python. So as I said, when you know how to use this language, sky is the limit, and you can create anything you want. It's like, for example, when you know how to build a house. If you know how to build a small house, it's gonna be easier for you to build a bigger house. So if you know how to build, if you know the basics, you can build anything you want, but with Python. And this course is really designed to help you learn the basics of all this. Yes, of course, you will have to after that practice it. But at the end of the day, you'll see it's very, it's not that hard to learn. Alright, so that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class.